Let's go back to 2009. Then President Obama told a room full of lawmakers that, quote, elections have consequences. Well, 8 years later, with the Republicans now in control of the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, well, Obama's crowning achievement is officially on the chopping block. But now some on the right, many conservatives, are slamming the bill, including Americans for Prosperity, the Club for Growth, the Heritage Action Committee, and many others, including author Daniel Horowitz. He released an article entitled RhinoCare, a more insolvent version of ObamaCare, except this time the GOP owns it. Some congressional Republicans are also raising very serious issues. Let's take a look.
What's been introduced in the House in the last 24 hours is not the Obamacare replacement plan, not the Obamacare repeal plan we've been hoping for. This is instead a step in the wrong direction.
There better not be a rule that prevents amendments that are badly needed to fix this flawed bill.
Obviously, we have some serious concerns. We haven't been shy about the serious concerns as we look at that. And yet, with any negotiation, you look at the trade-offs, what are the risks versus the rewards.
The House bill that's been put forward is Obamacare Light. It won't work. Premiums and prices will continue to spiral out of control.
All right, so is the American Health Care Act Obamacare Light? All right, before we get to that, let's take a step back. Let's look at some positive aspects that are in this plan. After 7 years of promising to repeal Obamacare, Republicans are attempting to do just that. That's a good thing. By eliminating the individual and employer mandates, that's a good thing. Also, this bill strips federal funding for abortion providers like Planned Parenthood. That's a promise the president made on the campaign trail. It also eliminates the medical device tax as well as other oppressive taxes enacted under Obamacare. But, and a big but tonight, while the American Health Care Act is a step in the right direction, it is far from perfect. It must be fixed. Now, Obamacare must be, under all circumstances, completely repealed. We have rising premium costs. They must be addressed further. And certain types of insurance-free cooperatives need to be utilized as well as health care savings accounts, which we will explore in just a minute. But before the GOP, I'm warning everybody on both sides of this debate, until they erupt into massive infighting, it's very important to note these words from the Health and Human Services Secretary, who will join us later, Tom Price.
This is a work in progress, and we'll work with the House and the Senate in this process. As you know, it's a legislative process that occurs. You start at a starting point. People engage, and they get involved in the process, sometimes to a greater degree. Nothing focuses the mind like a bill that's currently on the table and that has a work in progress or in process, and we'll work through it.
It's very important the Freedom Caucus and the study group in the House and people like Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio and Mike Lee be listened to, and that their contributions added to this bill. So Secretary Price is right, and tonight I want to put an end to the civil war that seems to be brewing inside the Republican Party. Now, the current version of the American Health Care Act, as Tom Price said, is a first draft. First drafts are never perfect, always filled with errors, miscalculations. Now it's up to the Republican members of Congress to come together and fix this bill and get it right for you, the American people, all while putting together a unified strategy to combat efforts from Democrats to paint the bill as a disaster for low-income Americans. In other words, Republicans want to kill children and kill old people. Now, these cannot take place, these discussions, on TV or in the press. My suggestion tonight is Republicans, that includes the Freedom Caucus, that includes the senators I mentioned, and that includes others, should get together in a room, work through these issues in person. The House Freedom Caucus, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, Marco Rubio, other conservatives who have been loudly voicing their concerns for 8 years, and sadly, many of these ideas were not represented in this bill. Now, once Obamacare is repealed and replaced, Republicans, you are going to own what's in this. And those who voted to put you in control of Congress will not settle for Obamacare Light, myself included. So, Congress, remember, your jobs are on the line here, but more importantly, so are the lives and the well-being of millions of Americans. You got to get this right, and you got to join forces. Frankly, it would have been better if a consensus bill was built before it was released. But with that being said, you still have time to fix it, and I hope you do.